You mentioned the name of Rusty Lisch to sports fans in Southern Illinois. The reaction is, oh yeah, without question, one of the greatest athletes ever from the metropolitan area. He's the pride of Belleville West High School. When Dan Devine took over the head coaching job at Notre Dame, one of the first players he recruited was Rusty Lisch. In 1976, he helped engineer a 40-27 win over Miami. As a sophomore in 1977, he started the first 3 games, then was replaced by a guy named Joe Montana. Nothing to be ashamed of course. The Irish won the national championship that season. In 1979, as a fifth-year senior, he was a starting quarterback in Notre Dame. They won 7 of 10 games. Rusty was a 4th-round draft choice of the St. Louis Football Cardinals. Also spent some time with the Chicago Bears. Post-football career has been very successful. Recently, the project manager for the new Memorial Hospital. Please welcome the man who helped Joe Montana become a Pro Football Hall of Famer, Rusty Lisch.
Thanks, Ron. Can I get my people to stand up real quick, our family?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. They're all taken, so.
Rusty, it didn't occur to me until I was reading through the program that this evening has a decided basketball flavor to it. You know, you are sort of the patriarch of a decidedly basketball family. And I know you played also with Joe Wiley's brother Milton at Belleville West. Is basketball your first love?
You know, I think it is, and I think football players want to be basketball players, and basketball players want to be football players. I remember with Joe's younger brother Milton, we would go out to the fields and play hoops, and then we'd sit and listen to Joe tell stories, and we would just sit there and mesmerize for hours. And he had that radio voice then, and so I wanted to play like Joe and Milton, and then I wanted to talk like Joe later on in life and be able to announce, but I never could. But actually, Ron Jacover was another one of my people that I always tried to emulate and lay in bed and talk.
Well, yeah, I hear Ron, and I hear Joe, and I hear Jim and Randy, and I wish I had that voice too, but unfortunately I have a voice for print, so. But we have to talk about football, though, sure. So that's why we're here.
Sure.
But so you get to Notre Dame with Dan Devine, and you get to start 3 games in 1978, and it's no shame to have lost your job now to arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history. But I have to ask you, what was it like to be a teammate with Joe Montana and to game prep with Joe Montana?
Well, I mean, like any of you guys that played sports or in any of your occupation, when you're with somebody that eventually becomes famous, not totally famous at that time, and when you're in it, you don't think, you know, wow, this guy, you know, is up here. Though now today, well, not so much anymore, but I get his memorabilia sent to his house, people asking me if I could get his autograph. So, because he wasn't accessible, they thought maybe I could. But, you know, starting out, I remember the first day of practice, you'd line up by position to run your sprints. So the offensive lineman, 10 would line up and go. And I remember quarterbacks line up. And I remember looking down, and there were 14 quarterbacks lined up. Now, you got to remember, in high school, you have maybe 2 or 3. And I'm looking, and I'm counting all these guys, and I'm thinking, how in the world, you know, are you going to play? Because only one guy can play when the dust settles. And Joe was one of them, and most of the guys you never heard of through attrition, injuries, just given up because of numbers. But eventually, as things vet out through 4 or 5 years, the grit, the determination, blah, 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 a lot of it just divine providence of getting through it. He's standing, and I'm standing behind him. Yeah.
Well, so then you get your chance then in 1979, and Ron already mentioned the win over Miami. And then I also know in '79 you guys beat number 6 Michigan.
Right.
You beat number 7 Michigan State.
Right.
The game I'm interested in is in South Carolina.
Right.
if I had this right, the game's on YouTube. You should watch this. It's pretty incredible. Notre Dame is down 17-10 with 54 seconds left, and you got the ball on your own 20-yard line. Would you tell us what happened from there?
Tell me more. I don't remember the details. I was hoping you'd announce the game back to me because basically, I mean, in effect, we came from behind and won. And, you know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. More often than not, you know, it doesn't always pan out. But that one happened to pan out, and we won in the last seconds. I must tell you, in the career of Montana, I had seen it more than my career.
Well, there must have been something in the water because you and Joe had this penchant, I guess.
I mean, one of the things that you learn, and, you know, it's funny because, and I don't want to bore you with the details, but you go to this combine, and you get measurables, speed, blah, 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 all the, you know, how far you can throw, how fast you can throw. And Montana went to his combine, and then I went to, and our measurables were very similar. I was probably a little ahead. And God bless, thank you for this honor, but he went to the top of the mountain. I went basically to the scrap heap. So you're wondering how people can, with the same quantifiable physical tools, ingredients, how can one go to the absolute pinnacle and one not go there? Well, one of the ingredients is poise and calmness and, you know, cool under pressure. And he learned that and he developed it. I had it sporadically, and once in a while it manifested itself, but not enough.
Well, in South Carolina, it manifests itself in 5 consecutive completions and a 2-point conversion. Now, you guys were in South Bend, right?
Yes, we were. They were.
It's interesting because you guys got the touchdown at home to fall a point behind. Instead of kicking the extra point to tie it, you went for the 2-point to win at home?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Was that a Dan Devine thing?
Was that a good call? I don't see why. Yeah. Let's win it.
It worked out. I'll take it. Sure. What the heck? And then an NFL career. I heard Jim Hanifin say one time before, you talk about the measurables and you talk about the physical skills. I heard Jim Hanifin say one time, I don't know what kind of football player Rusty Lisch is, but he's the best athlete in the NFL. Has he ever told you that before?
He never. He was a character, if you knew Jim Hanifin. But
so he's making it up?
He probably, yeah. He was a character. The thing I can remember, and I don't mean to digress from that, there were a lot of great athletes, but as I've spoken to, especially at the quarterback position or the point guard position, you have to see big picture. You have to bring out the best in others, and you've got to be selfless. And athleticism gets you to a point, but when you play at the highest level where everybody's good, you better have the whole package, right? But I have to, and I'm going to digress. The things that I remember the most, we had a guy, Mark Arneson, was on the team, backup linebacker, good player. And I just remember an incident. We'd come out of Old Bush Stadium, and there were homeless people, and, you know, asking for money, and we'd walk by, blah, blah. I remember Mark I was sitting in the front lobby, grabbing one of the guys, pulling him in, getting out a telephone book. At that time, you had telephone books. Taking a highlighter and showing this guy where to call, and probably taking a half an hour with it. Those are the kind of guys, those are the kind of things that we all remember in our own thing. I mean, the obvious Walter Payton and Montana and Jim Hart and that, you know, for entertainment value, absolutely. And but I think those quiet, heroic things that we don't see all the time that really, really make a mark on you.
Was that football team full of those kind of guys? Did you have a few of those guys?
They were, and everybody has them in their business. And I know these people in the front here are a part of that, that do things and abuse their time, talent, and treasures to help others to serve. I know it's about athletics, but they've been using this as an instrument to help and serve others. You know?
And a good segue to your family, too, because you raised 4 kids. All of them have great basketball pedigree. They all played in college.
Right.
Kevin's playing professionally in Australia.
Right.
Teresa was Miss Basketball Illinois.
Right.
Stephanie played at Indiana State.
Right.
Dan played at Fontbonne. So you raised 4 college basketball players. Can you just kind of talk about that experience from the father's point of view?
Well, it was a cat fight every night in the driveway. and I'd get a Pizza Hut ball, and we'd go to places and say, if you beat my kids, then you get the basketball, you know. And we just looked for a game anywhere we could. There was, you know what we're talking about. We'd scratch and claw. We'd play 2-on-2 in that evening. Winner doesn't have to do the dishes. Just, you know, anything, you know, loser has to go get the drinks for the, you know, guys against girls, small girl against, and big guy against, you know, big, just any combination. We'd invite people over and a revolving door, and it kind of became a social thing. And really, you know, in some ways, it was fundamentally flawed the way I handled it, but it was great if you could teach, because you can teach life lessons to kids and infuse it and subliminally interject it when you're out there with them without saying, well, this is the way you have to live. You know what I'm saying? You can actually sneaky when you're playing sports with your kids.
Slide it in there. Well, your kids did send me up here with something they wanted me to read to you.
Really?
Yeah. Scattered across 3 continents and too many time zones to count, your kids want to let you know we're celebrating you this evening from our respective corners of the world. Anyone who knows you knows how much you favor encouraging others in your own endeavors over seeking attention and praise for what have been yours. You taught us an invaluable lesson through sports, that it's not about awards or accolades, but about the person you become in the process. Dad, while your accomplishments have been many, what you've given to others through athletics will always be greater. Tonight we honor you. We're grateful this award allows for something more impressive than even the award itself to be highlighted. That is the man you've become in this journey. We adore you, Dad, and we are ever so proud of you.
Well, you know, thank you, Joe. I'm flattered by that, and all we're trying to do is become a better version of ourselves, as Mr. Kelly says, every day, every year, and to have the joyous struggle of trying to improve on ourselves. I think kids like to see that, and they can see that in their parents. I think they say, well, yeah, he's in the same boat as us, just scratching and clawing and trying to get there.
Well, the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame welcomes a Hall of Fame dad, Rusty Lisch.
Thanks, Tom.